Good afternoon. My name is Darьya Vилkова, and I work at Postgres professional company. I'm one as developer of plugin monitor and Postgres, and today I will tell you about the capabilities and how it works. Let's see what are we going to discuss in the next 20 minutes. First, I'll tell you about main functionality of the plugin, about details of its implementation. Next, we'll discuss level connection available Postgres. It will help understand how we set monitoring on several instances using one agent. Then, to demonstrate the logics of operation, I'll show how assembly of metrics happen on a simple example. And then we'll discuss new functionalities, custom queries that enable to add new metrics from one column code. There is a Zabbix schematic operation. I think many are familiar. Agent is put on the database server where they assemble metrics and they transfer to Zabbix server where users have full access via web interface. To connect with Postgres, we use PGX. That's a fast driver written on Go language. It supports a SQL interface that enables to operate with all SQL similar databases. A handler is a basic unit of plugin. It assembles metrics or groups of metrics. We try to optimize operational database, grouping several metrics, and using functionality of Zabbix, like discovery rules and dependency items, and others. Zabbix Agent 2 enables to support permanent connection with the database. It's a good advantage compared to previous version where all queries were done by calls that could create additional load. Plugin is fit with 10 plus and Zabbix server 4.4 plus as the Zabbix agent. Zabbix agent provides monitoring of several instances simultaneously. How to set it up in detail next slides. Overall, there are 3 levels of connection parameters. They are represented on the slide. First is global, which covers all plugins in the agent. The example can be timeout. The macros and sessions level responsible for connection parameters to the base. Parameters levels should be familiar to those who use the Zabbix agent. They are created in a template and they are filled here. Here I filled macros for ORI, user, and database. Next, in the key, I transfer macros parameters. And here we need to know that its sequence is fixed. First is ORI, then username, then password, then database name. And first 2 parameters are mandatory. Also, we can set additional 5th, 6th, and other parameters that further can be used when creating queries. So this way of connection is default and available in a template for Zabbix agent. Each session contains its own custom parameters of connection to the base, so that way creating several sessions we can create several connections to different databases. I'll show you an example. Sessions are created in the configuration file. After the web plugin sessions, we specify the name of the session. My session will be called test. We fill out all parameters required, rewrite, username, password, base number. Here, like with macros, first two parameters are mandatory. Next, in the template, we create macro sessions, we fill it out, and for matrix key, we specify macro session as the only parameter, and that's it. Currently, assemble more than 98 metrics. Plugin covers all the most necessary parameters of Postgres database. The slide shows some of the metrics can be assembled by a plugin, but they are not informative enough from operation system parameters. It's like the plugin of operational system Zabbix Agent 2. Therefore, to get full information, we connect all templates to the host. And the handler is a plugin unit, and they specify query and perform it. I'll show how it works on the example of creating a simple metric uptime. Create a file in corresponding directory and connect to the package for Postgres operation and specify a unique key for new metrics. Then create handler, initiate variable that will receive results. So between this variable, you can find official documentation in PG driver. And finally, I specify the query itself. Here I need to know that you can transfer additional values via handler that can be used further in the query itself. Now, I perform a query, check results for errors, and return the obtained result. We only need to register metric in a metrics core file, and now we can compile the agent. So these are in the latest version of plugin, we added custom queries functionality that enables to perform queries that are in SQL files on local machine. In order to take advantage of this functionality, you need to make two steps. First, in configuration file, specify a path to a directory with SQL file, and second, in the template, the corresponding key, include the name of SQL file. It sounds simple. Let's look at an example how it works. So I created a table example and filled it with 3 rows. Now we create queries themselves. In the first one, there is a condition that the parameter will be needed, and the second is without conditions. In the construction file of agent, I specify subdirectories, queries, and create PGSQL custom key. In the template, first 4 parameters are standard for connection, and fifth is name of SQL file with one of the queries, custom query. And we repeat the same for the next file. There is a condition there. Now we add 6 parameter which will be used for this condition. Some good. And that's it. The plugin will capture these queries, perform it, and the results will be in the Zabbix server interface. As you see, the first starts with 2020, and the second starts 2021. So query use parameters over year. New version plugin with custom queries already available for download in the last release of Zabbix Server 5. On this slide, I show some references, Zabbix Git with initial code of also reference to official template for plugin, and pgx driver documentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for this presentation. So the chat is not so active, so I will ask my own questions. While settings, connection to the base, specify the name of the base. For what purpose? Yes, we specify the name of the base because if not, then by default it will connect to Postgres base, and this may not be always satisfactory. So it's not the username like PSQL, but by default it goes to Postgres. Yes. And makes sense to create separate user. Right. It's safer for monitoring to create separate base, separate user, issue 2 grants for performance of 2 functions. It's in the instruction for tuning, and for the monitoring base to be with its monitoring connection parameters and 2 grants. And the query list that will be performed at monitoring, is it possible to see it implicitly? Yes, it's a good question. All questions are collected in README, in Git Zabbix, and there is a reference in my presentation on the last slide. Collect all the queries in one place and explain in a couple of words for various queries. And connection with the base is established, one at launching the agent, and is kept open. Yes. Is it one, or how does it work? Actually, we don't use sessions. Usually it's one. So max connections specified and not saturated. In some options, of course, we can deplete it, but these are special cases, but all default settings are done that way, that in most cases you don't need to touch anything additionally. So this base that we create for the agent that require any bootstrap or not, it's empty just for connection. Yes, it doesn't require any additional commands and Zabbix that like create table or right here, we just issue 2 grounds, and it's in the instruction. So, shall we move to Zabbix agent for all users? So, it's a complex question. I think not. You need to consider each option on a case-by-case basis. Right. I guess it's complicated, especially for developers and Mansi. So, what's happening in the chat? They ask for a template, send it over, then we don't have any questions. Thanks again for your presentation. So there is another question. Can it fully replace Amansu? No, it cannot fully replace it because Amansu has additional capabilities and functionalities, and for example, they have command some tune that can tune Postgres, and also operational system can tune it itself and offer options how to tune it and issue it as a report. And Amundsen also can collect certain reports about statement of Postgres, including tables, etc. So I wouldn't say it's 100% equal substitute. Also, Su has certain metrics that are not available in Zabbix Agent 2. Also, Amundsen has some additional access to extensions that Agent 2 doesn't have. Oh, the chat has woken up. Mikhail Grigoriev asking, do you plan support version PG 9X? Yes. The thing is, when we started development, it was happened recently. It seemed that at that time, when this utility will be in use, then nine versions will not be used. So we started with the 10th version. Well, I can add that official support of 9x will be stopped very soon. So you shouldn't use 9x upgraded. Now, template for Postgres, is it compatible with version 1, agent 1? No, it's not compatible. Because there are different metrics. I changed the metrics and first agent, so it's not compatible. In most cases, it's not compatible. And Zabbix supported more than 5.4. What if we have old server? Maxim Sherstuk says it is supported in Zabbix agent is in Zabbix server 4.4, but as a testing feature. But starting with Zabbix 5, it's already production ready. So Zabbix 5 can be used. Well, people object that this support is still used. Okay, what can we do? 9x is not supported. Is Agent 2 faster in test than Agent 1? Well, I tested with various loads. Sometimes can be up to 10% or 15%. It depends. But it's not like several times. Yeah, there are no access there. But again, it's how you make tests. Ivan Degtyaryov is asking templates item for checking sounds, but no trigger. Is it a miss as deficiency? Well, checksum spontaneously rarely changed. Well, if you have any questions, even if you found any errors, Zabbix is a very active community. We have Zabbix forum, and you can leave your issues or questions, and we consider them on. We correct the errors. Of course, errors are possible. I need to report it, and we'll try to correct them as soon as possible. Yeah, it's a feature request, rather feature request than error. So now it seems questions are over. Well, then we'll wrap up. Thanks for questions. Thank you, Daria.